Alrighty, you guys, I'm going to make a quick video over the things that we've talked about this week, which are evaluating expressions and solving equations. So the first one says to evaluate 5x squared minus 3 if x equals 2. So it's telling me to plug in 2 for x. So 5 times 2 squared minus 3. Now, I am using evaluating, so I'm going to be using PEMDAS. So it tells me I'm going to do my parentheses first, which I only have one number, so I'm done. Exponents next, so 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. Multiplication and division next, so 5 times 4 is 20, and 20 minus 3 is 17. So my final answer, the number that I get out, is 17 when I plugged in 2. Now another way that you can evaluate is if it gives an equation in function notation, it will say if f of x equals 2/3 times x squared. Sorry, it won't say if x equals 1/2. It will say find if f of x equals that equation, find f of 1/2. So what this is telling me to do is to plug in 1/2 for x. So I say that f of 1/2 equals, now here's where the math's going to come in, 1/2 squared. So in this case, I'm going to do exponents first. So 1/2 times 1/2, let's see, we know how to multiply with fractions. 1/2 times 1/2 equals 1/4, right? So f of 1/2 so far equals 2/3 times 1/4. Multiplication of fractions, I don't have to have a common denominator. I can cross reduce though in this problem because it's multiplication. So 2 divided by 2 is 1 and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now I'm just left with 1 times 1 on top, 3 times 2 is 6. So I say that f of 1/2 is 1/6. So again, if we think about a machine, all it's saying is that if this was my function, I plugged in 1/2 and I got out 1/6. Input, output. Now the next problem is a little bit more challenging equation to solve. Solving was the topic that we did today. Why this one is challenging, it's like one that you'll see on your homework, which was number 11 through 15 on that worksheet, is because that there are 2 x's in the problem. So what you have to do on this one is you actually do have to multiply this 3/5 into the parentheses. So you have to distribute it. So 3/5 times x is 3/5 x. 3/5 times negative 1/2. It's easy because it's multiplication. So 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. 5 times 2 is 10. Therefore, you get rid of the parentheses. You only have to do that, you guys, if x is in 2 places. Now I want to get my terms with x together. So I want to get these 2 guys together. But I can't just add them right now because they're on opposite sides of the equal sign. So I'm going to try to get the terms with x to the left. So that means I'm going to bring this guy over. Since he's positive, I'm going to subtract 2/5 x. Really nice problem here because these already have common denominators. So remember, with subtraction, you have to have common denominators. So 3/5 minus 2/5 gives us 1/5 x. And then we still have 3/10. And on this side, we still have 2, which I'll write as 2/1. So now I want to get this term over here because I want to get x by itself. So I'm going to add it since it's being subtracted. Those cancel out. 1/5 x equals, now I have 2 plus 3/10. So I know that with adding with fractions, I have to get a common denominator. So since this is a 10 and this is a 1, I'm going to have to get that 2 to be 2/1 to be over 10. So I have to multiply the bottom of this fraction by 10 so that it's going to change to 20/10. But do you guys agree 20 divided by 10 is still 2? Didn't change its value. But now I can add it to 3/10. So it's going to give me 1/5 x equals adding with fractions, I add the tops, leave the bottom alone. Okay, almost done. 1/5 x equals 23/10. To get rid of the 1/5, I could divide by 1/5, but dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal, so I'm going to choose to do that. So the reciprocal of 1/5 is 5/1, but I have to do the same thing to this side. So the nice thing is 1 divided by 1 is 1, 5 divided by 5 is 5. Those all cancel out. We just get with 1. We're just left with 1x. Yes, it's multiplication, so no common denominators needed. Cross reduce the 10 and the 5. They can both be divided by 5. So I'm left with 23 times 1 and 2 times 1. So my answer is 23 halves, or if I changed it into a mixed fraction, it would be 2 goes into 23. How many times? Let's see. 2 times 10 is 20. 2 times 11 is 22. 2 times 12 is 24. That's too much. So 11, that's 22, but I have 1 left over since I have 23 of them. So, or 11 and a half. Okay. So either one of those are acceptable. I shouldn't never put 2 equal sign in a problem, so I'll just write 23 halves or 11 and a half. I just solved that equation. So watch this video as many times as you need. If you need a reminder of how to evaluate, okay, again, sometimes I put it in function notation, sometimes I don't. So recognize that these are both evaluating. We use PEMDAS. And when we solved, sorry I didn't write it down, but I did use SADMEP, opposite of PEMDAS, once I got rid of all the parentheses. Again, the only reason I had to spread it out was because I realized that there were 2 terms with x, so I had to put them together. And I couldn't put them together yet since this x was inside the parentheses. But once I distributed, then there's no more parentheses, which allowed me then to put together my like terms by bringing one over to the other side. Or this one I subtracted from both sides. Anyhow, I'll stop there. Have a great weekend. Please do your homework. Your homework is number 11 through 15 on that worksheet. And if you didn't finish any problems on the 1 through 10, they should be highlighted because those are the ones I highlighted today. Those need to be finished as well. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys later.